A lot of people talk themselves out of seeking counseling because they look around and they say other people have it worse off than I do. Or they have a built-in, I can do this on their own. They're independent and they feel like I can do this, I can figure this out. So there's a lot of those messages that convince people, no, I don't need help, other people are worse off than I am. And that may be true, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking out for our own mental health, reducing stress, reducing anxiety, trying to reduce isolation, which is difficult, but it is possible.
We're living in a time of heightened tension, heightened stress. I'm a couples and family counselor primarily, so I'm seeing that in families currently. I see a heightened sense of irritability in people, and perhaps people are more inclined now to use conflict in the way they interact about issues in the family.
I think part of what we're all dealing with right now is a real sense of prolonged trauma, right? It's out there, it's in here, it's all around us. So with COVID, and it's just layering on top of what already normal stress, and it's making that normal stress so much harder. And it's broken down our normal systems of where do we normally reach, right, when we're feeling bad. Some of those doors are literally closed to us right now. Some of those people are literally behind masks and in other provinces, or we just can't get to our people, we can't get to our places. And I think it kind of creates a sense of panic in us when the normal things bump us, that we just don't know. Yeah, the systems that we've normally reached out to kind of aren't there in the same way. And so it adds to the stress. It kind of amps us all up just that much more. So it's kind of this general communal collective trauma that we're all facing together, and then it's our individual traumas that are buried under and stacking on top, and they're coming from both directions. And so it can feel kind of paralyzing, it can feel really agitating, but no one is alone in it. It's all a shared reality right now.
Burnout is a big sign of increased workload and increased stress, especially in the workforce and most specifically in our healthcare field. And burnout has a lot of faces and it manifests itself in a lot of ways. And sometimes it takes somebody else to identify burnout in a person, and then when they show up here, they're ready to address it and make some changes. Exhaustion, irritability, change in sleeping patterns, change in eating patterns, things that didn't used to bother us a lot. So it's reduced capacity to deal with the stresses in life.
Probably when people are getting into the pattern of trying to address issues in family life from a problem-oriented way, when they start to focus on difference of view about an issue, and they're inclined to the pattern of trying to persuade each other or influence each other's thinking on a particular issue, which again will just heighten the tension further. Getting back to the basics. Who do we love? How do we express that love in the way we interact with loved ones? How do we receive love and support from others? How do we demonstrate our understanding of what the other is saying, not to influence the other, but to gain ideas about how to help the other? So the focus of the interaction would change. It isn't about getting one's way, but more about helping the other one find relief in their stress, in their difficulty.
there are still options. I think that's the thing, right? We have to be a little bit more creative than we were maybe before. Yeah, and that constant renegotiation and adjusting takes a lot of mental energy, but it's worth it. So the things that I find, like professionally, but also personally for me, that work the best, get outside, like get fresh air. The weather's changing, but even if it's not, like it's worth just feeling some. We're learning more and more about brain chemistry, and like if you can get to green spaces or get near trees or get into a forest, like there are natural antidepressants that kick in when we're, and anti-anxiety, like that our pharmaceutical industry is very like trying to mimic, you know, and we get those we can get those chemically, but that's in nature, that's all around us, and that wants to feed us. So if you can get outside, do that, even if it's just for like a 10-minute walk on your lunch break. That would be really important. We're finding that moving our bodies is getting harder, right? Like we're staying indoors more. We're not, and our stress needs a way to work itself out. Like it needs a way to, we need, as people, we need to be able to push that out of our bodies. And so if it's a bike ride or a walk or a run or a dance party in your kitchen or sing it out, like we just need ways to kind of push that stress out of our bodies. So if you can get outside, if you can move your body, and then also social connections are so important. Find your people, whatever ways you can. If you can do that safely in person, do it safely in person. If not, FaceTime, Zoom, pick up the phone, write a letter. Just that feeling that you belong to someone and to something that's bigger and outside of yourself, like those kinds of reminders. And that kind of feedback is really important, to know that you have people that you can invest in and that will invest in you.
Overall, reach out. You are not alone. Almost all of our negative emotions grow in isolation, and they reduce when we reach out. Reaching out and going to get some help is really, really hard. But the people who I see have the courage, and then they're also motivated to make some change in their lives, which just improves their lives. So reaching out to someone is the first step, I think. If you don't have family and friends, there are kids' helplines, there are phone lines, there's crisis lines that people can call. I know it's hard, but at least so people don't feel like they're facing whatever they're facing alone. Friends and family are huge, but sometimes people need an objective or a stranger to talk to. Crisis line or kids helpline. Those, just reaching out, talking to somebody is the first step, and it's the best step.
I think we're creatures who we're wired to love and support, and that needs to be the driving focus in any particular interaction with a loved one. I'm not sure how to explain that any further. We need to be there for one another, to help one another in family life with loved ones, as opposed to the primary agenda being resolving difference.